Welcome back to Ripe Avocados. Today we're going over another Sophie Thatcher movie, Companion. It's also starring Jack Quaid, who I just found out today, or 2 days ago, was Dennis Quaid's son.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. They just don't really look that similar, I guess. To most, I don't know, to me at least. So, let's get into it. Companion. Sean, take it away.
Daydream, I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream.
The movie Companion follows Jack Quaid as he jailbreaks his sex robot and plans to murder this Russian millionaire that owns a bunch of shit through, he thinks, shady deals, but turns out they're pretty legitimate. And his sex bot Sophie Thatcher murders this Russian guy, and they plan to steal his money and just blame it on the sex bot, but things start to go crazy as Sophie Thatcher pretty much just like turns all her game sliders on to 100 and flips it around on Jack Quaid.
Yeah, it's a good description of it. So, entertainment for this movie, we'll go right into the scores here. I went 6.8.
Entertainment was a 6.5 for me.
Okay, and then characters, I went 7.2.
Characters were a 6.2.
6.2, okay.
Yeah.
And then cinematography, I went 5.9.
Cinematography, I went 6.8.
6.8, and then writing, I went 6 flat.
Writing, I went 5 flat.
5 flat. All right. So our two biggest discrepancies here are writing and
Cinematography.
characters.
Really?
No, cinematography. Oh, you're right. No, cinematography is only a 0.9 difference. The other two are ones. That we're the closest on the entertainment value. So we both thought this movie was probably relatively good, not amazing. It's basically 2 out of 3. If you average it out, is there anything you wanted to note on the entertainment before we move on?
It wasn't a waste of my money at the movie theater, but I could have waited for it to come out to streaming. That's what I'll say on it.
Time length?
Time length was great. It was all right.
Okay.
But I will say I didn't walk out of the movie theater like, wow, I wasted $6. Thank God it was a discount day. Because maybe I would have felt a little bit different if I paid like $15 for this movie ticket, but I definitely could have waited for streaming.
Okay, so what were the good things about it, and things that you might not have liked?
All right, so one thing I did not like about the movie was right off rip, even in the trailer, they give away that Sophie Thatcher's a robot, and I get it's part of the plot to advance the story, to know that she's a robot, and they tell it pretty early on, but I think it would have been nice to kind of leave that out of the trailers. I'm tired of them exposing shit in the trailers. Like, it's fucking annoying. Because they tell the story
Don't watch
in the
them, dude.
I know, but I love
abstained.
trailers. I love trailers too much. I can't. It's a drug.
Yeah, but you're at the theater, you don't really have a choice, but when I'm not there, I kind of just try to abstain from them, and it's been fine. I had no idea she was an AI, and to be honest, it didn't really change my score relative to yours.
I mean, it didn't affect it much. It just the viewing experience to me, because in the beginning, I feel like they do try to mask it a little bit. The way they talk about her, they don't outright say she's a sex robot, of course, but if it's kind of implied throughout, like the way she's walking, the way she's acting, it's like she's acting a little bit like a fucking Alexa on legs, but she's not really. But if you watch the trailer, you're immediately like, okay, yeah, she's definitely acting like a robot. Little nitpicky thing.
No, I got you. I was thrown off at first when they revealed that, but more so when they revealed the other guy, Patrick,
Yeah.
He I didn't see coming, and that should have been obvious too, because in both of these cases, in both of those relationships, their companions are very much more attractive than their counterparts. But that was a good piece of writing, honestly, to just hide it in plain sight, to not allow me to guess that that was another companion. But I didn't really think the trailer changed too much for me. I saw it probably one time in theaters. I didn't remember that it was an AI thing. I just remember the scene that's sort of the climax of the movie when she's burning her hand at the table. And I thought it was kind of creepy. At the time, I had not seen Barbarian, and I know that director, I think he had production credits for this movie or something, so I just assumed it was going to be completely, like, terrifying, and it really isn't. This is more so of a dark comedy than, like Nosferatu or Barbarian, for that matter. It's not real. I wouldn't really even call it a horror movie, to be honest. I would just call it like a dark comedy.
This was very light compared to most things.
Yeah, and
compared to Boss Baby, this was very light.
I was just going in expecting to be very scared, and it sort of let me down in that way, I guess. But it wasn't the worst movie of all time. It does have its moments, and there is like good banter among these characters, so we can get into that as well. So we had a point discrepancy here on characters. I was a little higher than you, and I guess my reasoning would be I thought the dude that was dating Patrick was pretty funny, even though I can't remember his name, which is not a good sign for the characters. You and I are both gonna take a shit on Jack Quaid here in a second, but he probably brought it down a little bit for me. I just think he's a very typecast guy, and it probably does not help that you and I have both seen The Boys, and I just can't really see him outside of that nerdy goody two-shoes, and now he's playing like a sociopathic guy. It just doesn't really work for me. And I get that in The Boys he does have his moments where he like breaks character, but he's supposed to be like this steady Eddie, super vanilla character in that show, and it plays very well, and I don't know, it's just hard for me to really see him outside of that realm. Maybe it'll change.
Yeah. No, I agree. Jack Quaid, I can't see him as anything other than Huey and being a simp for Starlight. But, like, I thought he did fine in this movie. He does kind of fit that role pretty well. Like, the nerdy cuck who's just, like, can't get any girls in real life, so he's got to jailbreak his sex robot to, like, love him. Because, like, he's got to say goodbye to her and shit like that. It's like, bro, you're such a fucking puss. But at the same time, he didn't really, like, add much to it for me.
Yeah, he didn't add much. I do think if they had a different lead actor in this, it might have made it a little bit better. But I don't think this movie on its own, just with its plot, was going anywhere crazy. I think Sophie Thatcher does a good job, and her name right now is pretty hot in Hollywood. I think she was... We talked about this off air, but I think Heretic was a better movie than this. And
100%.
In both, though, she does a great job. Her nonverbals are just very, very good. She kind of reminds me a little bit of Jenna Ortega in the way that both those actors are great at... I guess they're sort of typecasted at this point in their careers, too, because Jenna Ortega, we talked about this before, she's only doing, like, dark comedies, honestly. And so, kind of Sophie Thatcher, I guess, dark comedy, horror. But they're just great at... When you pan the camera on their face and they're not... It's just that actor, they're good at signifying, like, what they're thinking and whatnot, so... And she does a good job.
Sophie Thatcher, she's got the eyes, man. She's got the eyes. Like, just like Sydney Sweeney has those...
She's such a better actor than Sydney Sweeney.
Has the eyes. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I said Sydney Sweeney has those and paused, and that could have gone anywhere.
You saw the Super Bowl commercial last night, and you're like, oh my god. When's the part 2
Sydney Sweeney's acting is so good. No, like, Sydney Sweeney has those, like, puppy dog eyes that she whips out in every movie, and she gets like teary eyed, and it's like, okay, that's her move. Not saying Sophie Thatcher is limited to one move, but she's got that like perfect face for like a horror movie. It just makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just like her horrifying reactions though. There are instances in this movie when she's just trying to like learn shit. She's like an AI. Yeah. She's basically like a child, like a human child, and she's learning how to drive the car home like on an automated message or whatever. But it's just her like looking around and like thinking and processing things that I think resonates with me. I don't know. It just seems like when I watch her character, I can tell what she's doing without having another actor in the scene like show me exactly what's going on, if that makes sense. Whereas if this was like The Rock in this scene, or if, I don't know, you can't really substitute one for one because The Rock's just way different.
The Rock having to act out that he was a robot, he would literally be like, like he'd be doing that shit, and you'd be like, "Oh, he's a robot."
Yeah. They would have to give him like the most green eyes ever, like make it so over the top and corny for it to really work. And Sophie Thatcher sort of just acts really airheaded, and it works in the beginning pretty well, and then she sort of starts to gain. You know what this kind of reminded me of, and I don't know if you've seen it, is Westworld. A lot of the first season, she had Dolores written all over her, where Dolores is very similar character, in my opinion. Like, doesn't remember the beginning of their life, obviously, because they're an AI, and then just gives themselves more. I'm just spoiling Westworld, but whatever. It's the same. Dude, it was the same sort of concept.
However long ago.
Yeah, only watched the first season and a half though. But nonetheless, so let's move on. So cinematography, we had 0.9, so somewhat of a difference here. I just didn't really find it that memorable. I was lower than you here. The opening's title sequence was kind of cool. That's one of my big frames of reference for cinematography. I did like the costumes a little bit. Like, I thought Sophie Thatcher's costume was a little interesting, how it was almost like a housewife costume. Like her
it was like a Stepford Wives, like literally a movie about the women being robots. So
like Golden Girls or something too.
Yeah,
it was like Golden Girls, but she's way younger, obviously. Yeah, but Stepford Wives is that's a good comp. I've actually just saw that movie for the first time within the last few months. Yeah, it's funny. It's not Meryl Streep, is it? No, it is.
So no.
Is Nicole Kidman in that? I know it has like a really big. Dude, Anne Hathaway is in it. Definitely in that. Just naming every single actor. Stepford Wives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually haven't
1975. Oh wait, that's the original.
I haven't seen the 2004 movie. I've seen the 1975 one.
I've seen the 2004 one. Yeah, Matthew Broderick, Nicole Kidman, Christopher Walken. Yeah, it's a pretty loaded cast, honestly. Yeah, no, so they leaned into it a lot with the costumes, and Patrick as well. Like, he was dressed really fancy compared to the actual humans, which was a good touch on the movie, I thought. And just the mannerisms, they focus very much on how the robots were walking and everything. Like, the scene with Patrick in the end, it was kind of creepy, I guess, when it was very predictable when the cops show up or the paramedics show up, and he's like right in front of the hood of the car, and then he shoots him at the end. But it was freaky.
Well, not the paramedic, really I guess the robot paramedics.
Yeah.
But so one thing about Patrick Lucas Gage, I love that actor actually. Like, I've only seen him recently in You season 4 and then Smile 2, and it's not like he's got major roles. Like in Smile 2, it's a pretty minor role. He just plays Naomi Campbell's like drug dealer in the beginning, and that's the first kill that she sees. But
You didn't have to tell me. I know he dies. Like,
yeah.
He had this great part in the beginning of Smile Tale. Like,
dude, he was great for the first 2 minutes.
He died horribly.
Oh, it was... Dude, he takes a 45-pound wheel and just... 45-pound
It's in the trailer.
Just fucking... Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. Yeah.
Oh, spoiler, he survives that.
Oh.
His jaw's over here and his eyeballs are over here, but, like, it's okay. No, but he can turn creepy. He can flip a switch and turn creepy. And I feel like that's not an easy skill to have. And again, I'm basing this I'm basing this off of a couple little parts I've seen him in, but I think he needs more roles. He's good. He's killed it.
He's good. And the guy who he had the relationship with, he's been in stuff as well. Actor.
He was in Kung Fu Panda. No,
I've seen him in another live action movie for sure. What's his name? Rupert? No, not Rupert Friend.
Harvey
Rupert Friend.
Gillian.
Yeah, that's got to be it. Is it Blue? I might be thinking of Blue Beetle, but I didn't even see that.
Rupert Friend played the Russian guy, and whenever I see Rupert Friend, I just see Orlando Bloom. I don't see anyone else.
Oh yeah, they're very similar. Have you ever watched Homeland? He's in that show.
No. Okay.
Yeah, he's sick in Homeland. He's like by far my favorite character in that show. He's not just in season 1, too. The first episode. He's in a lot of the show.
He doesn't die in the first 5 minutes.
Well, eventually the Taliban like brutally kill him, and then
no,
it'll be fine. No, they drag it out. I think he gets. Oh yeah, his death's actually like tragic. You should watch that though. It's good.
Okay.
It's not a good ending, but the beginning, middle, near the end is good. Close to the end is not. It's not. If you've seen it,
it's basically like every show ever.
No, just like the way they write this dude's character off.
Oh, his character.
Really, really fucked up.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyways, yeah, Rupert Friend has a very quick portion of this film. It was also pretty fucked up how he was just this like maniacal like dude. I guess he was like technically not taking advantage of Sophie Thatcher because she's an AI, but it was just really creepy. And then
what's the morality around that?
Technically, he's not doing anything wrong because she's not a person, but this sort of gets into like the whole Westworld.
Yeah.
This gets into the whole Westworld conundrum. I'm not condoning that, like, but I just think a legal document would not go against like anything that he technically does. But he might not have even known she was an AI. I'm assuming he did.
He 100% did.
Yeah. It just comes off really creepy, and it makes you like, as the viewer, sort of wish he died. Yeah. But then you just realize that they're all pieces of shit. So
because that's the thing.
Like Huey's the worst character. He's the worst.
Oh,
person.
by far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Huey's the worst. He's just Huey from now on. Huey Quaid.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing. I wish they didn't reveal that she was a robot in the trailers, because that is the first scene right after she kills the Russian dude.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Quaid's like, Iris, turn off, and her eyes like roll back and they go white. So like if you didn't know she was go to sleep. So if you didn't know she was a robot, then it's kind of like a whoa, what the fuck?
And I didn't. That part threw me off.
Right, but I mean, I knew it was coming, so it was like, okay, yeah, kill the fucking dude. I don't give a shit.
I understand where you're coming from. Like, I do think that would have helped a little bit to hold off that secret, but I don't know how you would have wrote that any differently unless you delay how long they're at the house before the murder takes place. That's probably like the only way you could have done that.
I mean, the only way to do, like, just don't show it in the trailer.
Yeah.
And granted, in the first trailer, it wasn't in there. The first trailer was like, what the fuck's going on? The second trailer that they released is when they show that she's a robot. So that's the one that kind of fucked me up.
I think you could just make like a really creepy trailer insinuating that they just have this super toxic relationship. Just show them interacting with each other and don't reveal that she's an AI. Something like that. So you're like, oh, like let's watch this fucked up horror movie about a like fucked up relationship, see what happens. That would throw a lot of people off. But it's literally in like the description of the movie that Rupert Friend gets killed, and I don't know.
And it also in the description says that she's an android, so
yeah, they just need to limit the amount of information they're giving out. I really just try and limit the amount of trailers I watch before.
Yeah.
Especially movies that I know I want to see. If I see like one good trailer for it, I'm not gonna just keep watching all of them. So, all right. So, what was the last category? Oh yeah. So writing, we're 1 point off here as well. Why'd you think it was shittier than me, or would you say it was mid, good, or ass?
The writing for me was mid. This whole movie was mid.
Okay.
But the writing for sure was mid. I just felt like
kind of mid or really mid?
Really mid.
Think about that one.
Nah, don't have to. Really mid. I just felt like there were a lot of plot holes, and maybe I wasn't thinking too deep into the movie, but the movie itself didn't make me want to ponder anything. So as I'm watching it, I'm just like, there's no way like the cop gets murdered and no one else comes. There's no way like the robot people are here, they get killed, and like things just like weren't really adding up for me, and I don't know why. I can't really put my finger on it, but I'm like, this just doesn't seem like how things would take place.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's like this whole concept with like having all these characters at a cabin or a remote place. It sort of reminded me of that Bodies movie where none of the characters just call the fucking cops, and in this case they're all just pieces of shit. So once they realize that it was like a murder plot, they all agree to conspire together, and that's sort of why like the police aren't brought into it. But then Huey just goes off the rails and just he basically just like orders the murder of that other girl. Like, I don't know how he's not picking up on the fact that he raised Patrick's like aggression, and then just starts using him starts using him as his like henchman, and he just does the same thing with Sophie Thatcher. So yeah, I mean there's a lot of plot holes here. I thought it was just a little creative. Again, didn't see the trailer. Had a lot of influence from Westworld, definitely, but it wasn't the exact same thing. I know Westworld does have these robots in the theme park, so guests can sleep with them and everything. So it's a similar concept, but it's not the exact same thing. So tips for originality somewhat, and yeah, it just was I would agree, it was a very mid movie. And I think we thought it was going to be a lot better. Honestly, I think the trailer probably made us think it was going to be a lot better, and it just ended up shooting itself in the foot. That's sort of where I stand.
Dude, that's trailers in a nutshell, I feel like. Trailers can always make a movie seem like it's a 10 out of 10, and then you watch it, and it's like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, but those rare cases...
Which is where this movie kind of fell for me.
There are those rare cases when the movies do match up with the trailers, and that's when the real magic happens, like Prometheus.
Yeah, Free Guy. Yeah. Oh man,
real ones now.
Prometheus was a banger. I won't. Anyone that shits on Prometheus, I don't agree with.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. So we have a pretty mid score here of a 6.3.
That's fair. When I walked out, I said it was a 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that is Companion, our 33rd review here at Ripe Avocados. We will be back next week with yet another one. Don't know what that's going to be.
The new Captain America.
Is that this week? When does that come out?
Comes out Friday.
Yeah, so that will be, mark it down. Next Tuesday we will have Captain America, Brave New World, Harrison Ford. Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah, Red Hulk for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Wow, that does come out on. Is that actually the day? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, February 14th.
Or no, it's Friday. Valentine's Day is the 14th, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's Friday.
Word. All right, so we will be back next week. Stay tuned for that, and peace out.
Deuces.
I dream of the places I've been with you, always sat with the stream flowing.